Is this the breeding farm author? Yeah, this is the breeding farm author. This guy made a hit piece article on Velour because he was like tweeting at them and asking like if they allow trans women in their company. And they tried to say in the most diplomatic way possible, we accept people who sound feminine. And I did a whole bit where it's like, yeah, if I applied to like Velour and just used my Boston accent, like I fucking doubt I'd get in, bro. Like, there's no way. To be fair, Claire Obscure came from absolutely nowhere and brutalized the AAAs. Yeah, I've seen a couple of tweets posting about the numbers. But, I made fun of this guy for being a weird, gigantus, VoD, cis woman raping fetishist. And I guess they decided now is the perfect time to make a hit piece on this woman. There's people who are calling her a Nazi. I can use that. And so, this disingenuous hack, the title is, Why is this gamer Supps VTuber pushing the great replacement theory? So first of all, how the fuck did they put gamer Supps here? Gamer Supps is a drink company. They're not a VTuber company. They're not like Velour. They're not like FaZe Connect. They're not like Brave Group. Like, this would have made more sense if they said, why is this mythic VTuber pushing the great replacement theory? I felt like they literally just put gamer Supps in here to try and force gamer Supps' hand into dropping me. This was a targeted harassment campaign. The sources they used have been people lying about me, had been people for 3 weeks prior to this, adding gamer Supps, trying to convince other people to @gamer Supps. And I had just largely been ignoring it because I was like, these people are ineffectual. These people have no reach. Anyone who believes them is just a retard. There's not really anything I have to worry about. But now that they got a hit piece, like I feel like my hand has been forced and I have to give these unfortunate cretins a bit of attention. And a random Redditor. And then the byline, well, actually, before I get to that, the great replacement theory, they keep saying this. And like, this whole thing started because I had watched Keir Starmer, which is not a Nazi. This guy describes himself as a socialist. He is on the left for all intents and purposes. And if someone on the left, and this is in November that he said this, I think the clip that they use of me talking about this in the UK is from like January, maybe? I can't exactly remember, but it was after the Keir Starmer thingy. Keir Starmer, let me turn off my background music. This is what he says.
What the British people are owed is an explanation. Because a failure on this scale isn't just bad luck. It isn't a global trend or taking your eye off the ball. No, this is a different order of failure. This happened by design, not accident. Policies were reformed deliberately to liberalise immigration. Brexit was used for that purpose, to turn Britain into a one-nation experiment in open borders. Global Britain. Remember that slogan? That is what they meant. A policy with no support, of which they then pretended wasn't happening.
So Keir Starmer, at the time Prime Minister, right, is fucking blatantly saying, yeah, this immigration, this population replacement is by design. And the clip they use of me talking about this is about the UK. We also have unchecked immigration issues in the United States, and disingenuous people will constantly talk about me talking about needing to get rid of illegal immigrants, needing to deport these people, and they'll be like, Kirsche wants to deport citizens! And it's like, well, I always talk about migrants and illegals as, like, I get if you don't believe that people can't be illegal, but that's not what I believe. And it's just like, it's insane to me that a world leader who is resoundingly not a Nazi can say this on the world stage, but when I say it, I'm a white supremacist conspiracy theorist. Oh, but Kirsche might have said illegal migrants are replacing white people. Who the fuck are the Britons? Who lives in Britain?
Spicy cat
Who
raid.
are the
What the hell is a
English?
Spicy cat raid.
And it's like, if these disingenuous
Spicy cat
cocksuckers
raid. What the
watched
hell
my
is a
stream,
Spicy cat raid.
they would also know. They would also know that I talk about the Chinese going into Africa and displacing native African populations in certain countries, like in the Congo. The Chinese are coming in, they're trying to rebuild infrastructure, they're trying to take the jobs away from the native Africans, and they're going in and changing the population. For some reason, if you talk about it happening in the UK, even if you're repeating what their prime minister said, somehow you become a white supremacist. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I feel like that phrase has lost all meaning at this point. Like, what? They also say you can't be racist against white people, so of course, if you say white people should be allowed to exist, they'll call you a Nazi. Pretty much. Like, actual insanity. And it's insane that, like, this kind of lie can gain this much traction. All of these, like, clout-chasing goblinite V-tweeters are like, oh, I have, like, 4 viewers, let me tweet out about this Nazi, that'll get me attention, because everybody else is getting attention off of it. That's fucking crazy. But, their byline for this article was, meet Kirsche Verstal, one of her fans is a bona fide Nazi. That's the best you could come up with for a byline? One of my fans is a bona fide Nazi? I feel like even in a community a fourth of the size of mine, you could probably pick out at least one Nazi and one communist out of the people who watch them. It's just the one. Which one of you is it? Which one of you did this? And like, I'll have to find it. Let's parse it. I'm just, for all intents and purposes, I don't know if they're a man or a woman, but I immediately saw the like frilly goth shit, and I was like, oh, this is a femboy. Oh, they got a fucking Templar cross. This is a femboy. This is a femboy. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna say I like your fucking frilly ass, cute ass outfit. And then I just retweeted it. I was like, I like your outfit. Assumed this was just like Templar shit. I didn't look at it because I'd been retweeting. I told you guys the week before I went on vacation, I was like, if you have my plush, if you bought my merch, if I could throw it up in my art tag, throw it up in the art tag and I'll probably see it. Don't put it in the Discord because I probably won't see it. But if you put it on Twitter, I probably will. So I had retweeted this, and then I can't even remember if it was on a stream day or if it was like the next day, but I don't know, at some point I realized there's a bunch of people like tagging me on Twitter, and they're just like, Kirsche retweeted a Nazi, and I was like, I did? When did that happen? Who's the Nazi? What's going on? And then there's like some super zoomed in fucking images of this book. Cause there's, I don't know if you guys can see it, but apparently there's a swastika right here under an eagle. I have never seen any of these books in my life. So like, looking at the thumbnail, I didn't even realize what was on them. And so I was like, yeah, this is a fucking Templar shit. How am I supposed to recognize what these books are from the covers, I guess, is my question. Oh, but like, fuck me for not noticing a 2-pixel wide, if that, swastika. And me being the stubborn bitch that I am, seeing all of these people immediately claiming I'm a Nazi because I retweeted this, claiming that I endorse it because I retweeted this, claiming that, oh, at GamerSupps, you need to drop this Nazi. Look what she's retweeting. Look what she did. GamerSupps, please. I was just like, yeah, I don't want to unretweet this on principle because I don't want to give these fucking freaks any kind of a win, right? And so I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna enjoy my vacation. I'll figure out what I should do, like, later, right? They're unironically thinking you, of all people, would memorize Nazi There was some fucking guy, I don't know where the tweet was. There was some fucking guy who was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kirsche comes out and says, and then he posts, like, some German sentence. He's like, yeah, that's a quote from Himmler. I was like, why the fuck are you attacking me as a Nazi when you've memorized Himmler quotes? What is happening? And I'll get into like more stuff as we go through the article, but like I didn't want to unretweet it because I didn't want to give them a win. I probably should, just because people will point to it and be like, oh, she never unretweeted it. That means she endorses it. And it's like, I want to support people who buy my merch. I want to support people who fucking spend money on things that I'm selling. But I don't want that to be used to attack my sponsors or to attack my friends. So it's like, I guess I am forced into a corner where they have lied so much that I need to take action that I don't want to do. And I rarely ever delete tweets. Rarely ever. Like, if I have said something, like, bad in the past, that's in the past, man. That's in the past. That is past, Kirsche. Maybe I have apologized for it. Maybe I've gained new information that makes, like, whatever that was in the past wrong. But, like, I don't like deleting things. I've deleted a couple things on request of other people for OPSEC purposes. I feel like that is a virtuous thing to do because I don't want to cause harm to others. But it's like, it just figures, right? That, like, I would retweet a femboy and the one femboy in the pile of giant, manly, burly hands would be the Nazi. That's fucking hilarious to me, unfortunately. It's always the femboys. Why? But, back to the article. Owned by popular online content creator Jay Schlott. They're just dropping all the names in here. Because again, this is just a hit piece attempting to get gamer subs to distance themselves with me. This is at the tail end of a 3-week harassment campaign of people spreading out of context clips and lies to deal financial and reputational damage to me. That is all this is. Gamer Supps advertises itself as the most effective and healthy energy choice for gamers and esports talent alike. Combine caffeine with nootropics and slap on branding marketed towards geeks and gamers, and you've got Gamer Supps. It's a rite of passage for a growing VTuber to gain a Gamer Supps partnership. Let alone snag a merchandise run via the company's Waifu Cups line. VShoho star Nyanners, for example, received her own cup with the company, as did Shy Lily. And this is how you know how much of a fucking tourist this person is. They didn't know that Nyanners has not been in VShoho for, like, over a year now. And they don't mention that Shy Lily didn't just receive her own cup, but she's a partial fucking owner. They're just like, yeah, let's drop these names that'll make it look like I know what I'm talking about, while in actuality, I know fucking nothing. And also, it's a rite of passage for a growing VTuber to gain a partnership. Do they have any idea how many non-VTuber people are sponsored by Gamer Supps? Like, what? Journalism? Yeah, journalism is when I take the words of random people seriously and write an article about it with zero knowledge and zero actually looking things up. However, Gamer Supps is in hot water with many VTuber fans due to the behavior of one particular creator working for the company. Mythic Talents Kirsche Verstal. Well, that's like Asmongold's company, so, you know, like, you're not gonna make much headway with that one, buddy. And I like how they say is in hot water with many VTuber fans when it's like literally one guy and a couple hundred like literal fucking who's on Twitter. Like nobody of note was doing or saying anything. They haven't done as much damage as I think they hoped they would. It's just frustrating to deal with. And I'm sure these people are going to be like victory lapping over Kirsche's seething and coping. Look at her having a meltdown. It's like, I mean, yeah, I'm having such a meltdown. I'm back with my community after a wonderful vacation. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be annoyed a bit. I'm gonna be annoyed that you were so obnoxious that you convinced anyone to take you seriously. Because what you're doing is harassment, is trying to deal financial damage to me. For literally no purpose. You're on a moral crusade because you believe you are a good person. But you are not, and you are not doing a good thing. An anime fox girl, at least I got my animal right. Too many people call me a cat. With a knack for sharing alt-right talking points. Yeah, being slightly right of center, I guess, is alt-right talking points now. I guess. Kirsche has landed herself in controversy after controversy online due to her right-wing beliefs. I wonder how far to the left we've gone when, like, normie woman is now considered alt-right. I don't understand, man. Everything is alt-right. When you're so left, you believe Hitler. Oh my god, anything to the right of Mao. It's a little insane. At this point, it begs the question whether gamer Supps will one day pull the plug on the VTuber for good. Is that's supposed to be a pun? Because, like, I'm virtual? So, like, they're gonna turn me off? A VTuber who believes demographic replacement is happening to white people. I just refer you again to that Keir Starmer clip. Like, I just... If world stage politicians who aren't even conservative are saying that demographic replacement was a planned by design thing, like, I don't know how me repeating that is supposed to be some sort of crazy fucking gotcha. Like, I don't understand. And, like, so many people, this is how Moonshine got involved. So many people post this like, oh yeah, Kirsche got kicked out of Ofka. She had a meet and greet on a trash can. Well, yeah, I'm the melty blood of VTubers, baby. What up? I bet you wish you understood how actual friends worked. This was my friend wanting to spend time with me and wanting my fans who couldn't cancel their tickets because of the timing that Ofkai did this to actually be able to see me. Like, imagine having actual friends. And Kirsche is a relatively popular for a VTuber, sporting over 56,000 followers on Twitter and at least 44,400 on Twitch. Hey, why didn't you mention my over 75,000 on YouTube? Hey, could it be that, much like people who try to say I only have 1,000 CCV, so I'm irrelevant in the VTuber sphere, you ignored my YouTube because you would have made me look more relevant than you want to believe that I am? Could that be the case, you dirty smear merchant? She originally announced her partnership with gamer Supps in September 2023, followed by a merchandise reveal this past March. From shirts to cups, Kirsche fans will soon be able to flag their love for the right-wing Fox girl IRL, all thanks to gamer Supps. This was a resounding fucking success, by the way. Thank you guys for all of your incredible support, especially in the face of people trying to get gamer Supps to drop me. I am nowhere near as large as some of the creators who have flavors at gamer Supps, but we still managed to hit 62% of that goal. 62%, and I'm nowhere near as large as, like, Pay Money Wubby or Tectone or fucking Schmitty. Like, I'm nowhere near their size. We are small but dedicated. You guys are absolutely fucking nuts. Absolutely nuts. You bought a cup for your cup. Hell yeah, brother. A fucking Jimbo also got in on the baiting, and people took Jim's bait as well. Oh god, can we get Jim's tweet? Somebody had super chatted Jim during my merch drop, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll buy a cup. Oh fuck cancel pigs, I'll buy a cup." And Anna here fucking tried promoting their article. Any VTuber fan will tell you Kirsche Verstal is right-wing, but things took a turn recently after she posted body cam stills of 2 black Americans killed by police. Look at this race baiting. Look at this race baiting. Yesterday she retweeted Nazi imagery from a fascist fan. Will this be a line in the sand for gamer Supps? Once again, specifically naming them in an attempt to deal financial damage to me. I'm fucking Jim over here. I once watched one of her streams and commented, "Hey, that's a really fun game." And she started screaming at me saying, "I can't wait for Project 2025 to go into effect so I can personally put you into an oven." That's right. That's right. Mr. Medica, the weatherman, couldn't be taken down by the entire sector, but a single fox girl with an easy bake oven took him out. And then there was some fucking guy. I think it was this one. I think it was this fucking guy. Remember that? Can't believe the article didn't mention that it was a real mask off moment. And he quote retweeted it. "I tried to complain about it later to her management, but she somehow found my home phone number and called me. My gal pal Pippa is gonna send you on a train to No-No Town. Pretty sure that entire sentence is a neo-Nazi dog whistle." And people took this seriously. They thought that this was real. Someone was actually like, yeah, she told somebody in her chat that she wanted to put them in an oven and then linked this, and I was like, there's no fucking way, dude. These people are just like ghoulishly cartoonish sometimes. Not the no-no town. I touched his no-no square, chat, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling V-tweeters. Oh, you bought all the merch plus a cup for your cup. Fuck 'em. Well, some VTubers may wink or nod to conservative beliefs. Kirsche has never hidden her political leanings. Well, yeah, because a wink or a nod could just be unironical grifting. I've built my platform on being genuine and honest, which is why I'm like, yo, chat, don't take my word for things. I'm just a fucking cartoon woman. I try to show my sources. I argue with chat. We disagree. I'm not right all the time, and I shouldn't be looked at as a person who's right all the time. In fact, she's gained a reputation for speaking out on behalf of the right-wing side of the VTubing fanbase. Have I? I don't think I've ever seen, like, anyone prop me up as a figurehead of literally anything. I mean, we make jokes about how I'm the shadow VTuber government, you know, shadow wizard money gang or whatever, but like, that's because whenever I give people game recommendations, they end up going viral. I'm very good at picking video games. I don't know what this means. In February, she said trans women advocating for trans rights are autogynephiliac, sick males with graphic murder fantasies. She praised Mythic Talent co-owner Asmongold for arguing every trans kid is actually a victim of a parent with a mental illness. I mean, you know. But they took this one out of context because I was replying to someone who was showcasing a graphic murder fantasy from a trans rights activist. And I said, when you realize most trans activists are autogynephiliac males. So that's the quantifier there. Most trans activists. And much to a lot of people in chat's chagrin, I painstakingly take the position that there is a difference between people who have autogynephilia and are using a trans identity for ideological purposes and people with actual dysphoria. And actual trans people, like Buck Angel, also get attacked for having this position all the time. All the time. Gamergate subreddit r/Kotaku in action has shared Kirsche's work to acclaim, calling her based fox. I don't go on Reddit, so like I don't really know about, I have a hard time believing that places on Reddit call me based. I'm gonna be real with you. But also, now that we're invoking the name of Gamergate in my hit piece article, and I've actually talked to like political think tank people, maybe there is a chance to get Trump to tweet about Gamergate after all. Another post on r/YouTube drama declared Kirsche the main culprit for alt-right pandering in VTubing. Yeah, you know, I just say what I think out loud. Sometimes I'm not very great at wording things because I'm just like a normal fox woman, but I try best. In casual conversations on her Supps merchandise drop, VTuber fans were quick to describe Kirsche as right-wing. One Redditor even went to great lengths to stress they were not attempting to take a side on Kirsche's content, but simply objectively describing her to those who have not seen her work. We actually read these conversations because I thought it was really funny that Reddit was overtly seething over me having a merch drop, considering what some of the other people have said. And this guy that was saying, I'm just explaining what she is, I'm not biased at all, actually was biased. She's alt-right, anti-woke, and apparently transphobic to a degree. A few comments mentioned her calling trans women mentally ill men. Man. I wonder if there's like a derogatory term for like the trans people who are in my community who agree with the things that I say and who buy my merch. I feel bad. I feel bad for people who would get backlash simply for being a fan of mine, because people who don't watch me want to just make up shit that I believe. True scum. Yeah, the true scum. None of this is my own info, just restating what other people said. Can't confirm nor deny this stuff. So they're taking a random Redditor explaining who I am And this random Redditor even said, I've never watched her, I'm just reiterating what other people said. And somehow this fucking journalist decided, yeah, this is a source to use. This is a source that I should use to make my point about how terrible of a person this VTuber is. I was like, holy shit. Holy shit, dude. You legitimately can't believe this author wrote that out. This is the state of journalism, right? Oh, look, they put the little image of my merch here. That was a good merch drop. That looked really good. They accepted a rando who was like, never seen her, but let me lie. Yeah, I mean, that's what these people do, right? I've never seen her, but let me lie about her in the hopes that I do financial damage to her because I don't like her. Alt-right seems like an accurate description of Kirsche and her politics. Seems like an accurate description. These people can't stop lying. In one clip, Kirsche gives weight. Get it? Because Kirsche's fat. To the Great Replacement Theory, a racist conspiracy theory suggesting people of color are ethnically cleansing white people through demographic changes and cultural diversity. In this clip, Kirsche argues that a mosque should not be built in northern England, declaring a hostile takeover is happening in the US via illegal immigration, and through the UK via the migrant crisis nonsense and refugees. Once again, this is literally what Keir Starmer said. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the UK, got up and said, yeah, the exacerbation of the migrant crisis is by design. It's impossible to not notice at this point. What do you mean by this? Anna didn't like that I called them out with receipts, so they made a very lazy hit piece with no attempt at even trying to make any of the claims seem legit. You know what the best part is here? Hold on a second. I gotta pull up a screenshot. And this is from Anna Valenz's Discord. Someone was like, I don't know if Anna's gonna write about Cinder. I think it's probably not something to write about. And then Anna said, nah, 2 reasons. 1, I think it would look like I'm trying to twist the knife on gamer Supps. Oh, you think? You think it might look like you're trying to twist a knife on gamer Supps there after all the shit you've already said about them? And 2, I don't want the impression that I'm ambulance chasing after all these creators and artists experiencing one of the most heartbreaking betrayals of their careers in public. And the original person said, yeah, I had a feeling about that. It's smart. Anna goes on to say, yeah, I want to do these VTuber pieces very carefully. If I have to call something out, call it out. Then slink away. Yeah, slink away like you made a million fucking tweets on the entire situation while I was on vacation, which they said that they reached out to me for comment. They didn't. They reached out to my Mythic manager via email less than an hour before they dropped the article, before the workday started. So that's how disingenuous this scumfuck has been. This little fucking snake. Little fucking snaky snake slinking away. Although, I think I'll give it a break for a bit after this. This one was the second biggest story of my career. First being my public sex piece. Pretty fucking crazy. That's actually pretty fucking sad if a poorly researched, actually, I can't even say that, it wasn't researched at all, hit piece on a minor VTuber is the second biggest story of your fucking career. Well, that's actually really sad. It was a fucking fever dream. I was like, I can't believe I'm reading this right now. This is actually insane. What was the first? The first was their public sex piece where they said that, like, it's important to have queer sex in public or some shit. Queer public sex is at the heart of a culture war between radical queers versus reformists. Under the surface, anti-public sex views are steeped in racism, classism, gentrification, and police surveillance. This cover story clocks in at over 3,000 words, and it goes through a lot of issues at the heart of public sex and sexual expression at Pride, including capitalism and home ownership, whiteness and queer gentrification, race, class, and public sex, trauma from the AIDS crisis, public sex and consent, locations that are and aren't off limits for public sex, technology, heteronormativity, assimilation, and public sex, quasi-public sex versus completely public sex, white urban queers calling for public safety via policing, cruising as foundational to queer expression. Hypocrisy between straight and queer public sex havers. Is all sex public sex now? There's a lot going on in this piece, and I'm sure it'll spark some post-Pride Month discourse, so I highly encourage reading it in full. It addresses a lot of concerns I've been thinking about for over the past year, such as consent to exposure. A lot of good point of views on that here. The TLDR is that even among those who practice public sex, there's no golden rule. Opinions vary from limit public exposure to don't be too obnoxious to nothing is off limits. Public sex isn't a binary, its biggest advocates all have different codes of conduct. And someone here mentioned, you should always assume that no one will read past the headline, which is, what they did with my hit piece, putting Gamer Supps' name in there. I think you have some reasonable personal views on public sex, as the location examples you give at the beginning of the article are far more ethical than the ones mentioned further in. And Anna responded, I like this thread a lot, and I definitely agree. For the record, I'm definitely a strong believer in the anyone on film needs consent category, which is an aspect of public sex that a lot of people don't think about, unless they do online or indie sex work. So that was the biggest article of their career. And mine apparently is the second biggest. Very, very weird. Very weird. A hit piece that you did zero research on, that you used people lying and harassing about me as sources. You used a random anonymous person on Reddit who said they don't even watch me, and they're repeating shit they heard about me as a source for your hit piece, invoking the name of a sponsor of mine, attempting to do life ruination by financial damage. Our politicians are assisting these people with both demographic replacement as well as just making citizens' lives worse in general. They're changing the entire culture of these countries, Kirsche said. Where's the fucking lie, and what does this have to do with white supremacy? This isn't me saying, like, white people are better than everyone. This is me repeating again what Keir Starmer said. The politicians are doing this by design. And it's also just like a non-negligible, blatant, obvious thing you can observe with your eyes, that citizens are worse off now. I don't understand. I don't understand, man. And then they use this guy over here as a source, the guy who has been just lying about me for ages. And this is the clip of me talking about the mosque in northern England. That's going. I think it was like a 2 point something million pound mosque project being paid for by the British citizens' tax dollars or some shit. I don't remember the full story because again, this was like in January or some shit. I think whenever I don't tweet often enough, he likes to go back through my tweet history and find more things to get angry about. I feel like when you're tweeting about me like 20 times a day, I'm flattered, but like I'm not gonna date you, dude. I'm sorry. They actually used Kirsche's biggest hater as a source. I know. My biggest fan, my marketing team. Thank you for making my merch drop wildly successful. This was not a one-off comment. In April, she retweeted the White House's ICE tip line to aid the deportation of undocumented Americans. They're not Americans because they're undocumented. They're illegal aliens. They don't belong here. Yes, of course, I retweeted the White House's ICE tip line. Get them the fuck out. How dare she tweet the ICE tip line? Only Nazis retweet the White House official account! In February 2025, she said she was happy with the mass deportations under Trump, but warned the federal government was offering undocumented Americans massive amounts of free shit given on the taxpayer dime. This is objectively true. Like, what the fuck is this supposed to mean? Like, if you want to encourage less illegal immigration, you have to remove the benefits these people get from coming here illegally. If you want to encourage people to come here legally through the correct channels, become an actual American citizen through the immigration process, you can't offer illegal immigrants free shit. That's like, the system isn't gonna work. I don't understand. Got what I voted for award. She even called Lawrence, Massachusetts a no-go zone full of illegal activity and implied the city could only be recovered if all of its undocumented citizens were removed. There's no such thing as an undocumented citizen! They're undocumented! That by virtue makes them not citizens! What the fuck do you mean? What did you mean by this? And also, I grew up there. I saw people get shot there. I know what goes on in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and anyone in the fucking area will agree with me. There is not a single Massachusetts person who will disagree with my statement on Lawrence, Massachusetts. You will not find one, and I can say that with confidence. If ice sweeps here, it will become a ghost town, so maybe it can be rebuilt, she tweeted. Which is true. Lawrence, Mass has a huge amount of gang activity, a huge amount of, like, illegal population. Like, this is just a factual statement. It was Kirsche's tweets in mid-April that drew her Supps partnership back into the public spotlight. On April 14th, Kirsche responded to an online rumor about Carmelo Anthony, a black teen charged with killing a white 17-year-old named Austin Metcalf. A post incorrectly claimed that Anthony's family had purchased a house with online donations, a rumor which spread through right-wing social media circles before later being debunked by Snopes. Now, I don't believe Snopes. And, like, after the initial claim, when people started coming out and saying, well, he might have bought the vehicle in 2023. They might have already been renting this house. I was like, all right, chat. There's too much conflicting information. I'm not really sure what's real here. So, like, I'm not going to bother reading too much more about this situation until time has passed and we have, like, an actual timeline that I can read. Because I don't want to be reading things one day and then correcting it the next day and then going back on the correction the next day because the initial correction was wrong. That's messy. That's sloppy. So I was like, all right, there's too much like contradicting shit. Let's just wait a bit and see what happens. Kirsche did not feed into the claim. What the fuck? That's just a lie. I mean, that's all these people can do. That's all that she said something that thousands, if not tens of thousands of other people were saying. Therefore, she has the influence to affect the discourse. And then, I think they put the other tweet in here with the picture that I already had to talk about on stream. Getting a payday to buy a house by killing a white man just makes sense, Kirsche tweeted. Reparations, after all. This was replying to someone to say, kill white guy, get money with the flying fuck. And people were saying this is racist because I posted this reaction image. This reaction image, as I pointed out when I first talked about this, is from when this girl, unfortunately, is in the hospital. And she wanted to see the Ghostbusters, and they gave her the female Ghostbusters instead of the real Ghostbusters. And the picture that these female Ghostbusters took was incredibly poor taste. And so everyone turned this into a reaction image of like, yeah, that would be my reaction too if I wanted to meet the Ghostbusters, and they gave me this shit. You remember now, yeah, poor girl, dude. But apparently using that was somehow racist as well. And I don't think what I said is entirely wrong either. Maybe it wasn't to buy a house, but they did say that they're going to be using the funds for housing and security, as well as the legal fees. So it's like, if they write that on their shit, how else am I supposed to take it? Everything is racist. You were committing digital blackface. I like reaction images, man. The next day, Kirsche responded to a post claiming, body cameras killed the Black Lives Matter movement. In a quote retweet, she shared body cam stills from police altercations with Deshaun Leith and Sidney Wilson, two black Americans who were shot and killed by American police officers. I was quote retweeting fucking Matt Walsh. And the Black Lives Matter movement, I've been very clear on my stance on this. I don't think the Black Lives Matter movement had anything to do with helping black people or protecting black lives. I think it was an organization that wanted to enrich themselves and wanted to take advantage of a crisis in the country in order to grift off of it. And I even asked my moderators before I posted this. I was like, hey, they're both making essentially the same face. Who Wore It Better was a celebrity magazine panel, and then it was a celebrity TV show, and then it was turned into a meme used all over Twitter, typically with like SpongeBob and like Marvel characters and shit. But it was turned into a meme regardless. Who wore it better? Surely people will be like me and see the facial expression. And it's like, this is why you don't bother explaining yourself when people get angry at you sometimes, because I explained this, and I even said it in the comments somewhere down here. I don't know if it's going to be in the archive, probably not. I even explained in the comments that it was a facial expression joke, and obviously everybody who hates me and wants to take me out of context was like, you're lying, there's no way that you thought that was the case. And it's like, I literally went to my mods and I was like, what are the odds?
What the hell is this spicy
What are the
cat
odds,
raid?
you think, that people will be dumb enough to think that this was a racial thing? And I even brought up Daniel Shaver in the comments, because what happened to Daniel Shaver was police brutality. The officer didn't suffer any consequences, unfortunately, because the law fucking sucks sometimes. And, like, when you look at a shitty situation, sometimes you kind of have to joke about it to prevent yourself from blackpilling. And so when I would talk about Daniel Shaver, I'd be like, yeah, the police officer asked this fucking dude to do the hokey pokey. And then he fucking shot him anyway. Right? Like, it's a shitty situation. I never made fun of the victim. I made fun of the situation. And I pointed that out in the comments as well. Timpo was the worst in your opinion? Yeah, these are names that I think people typically don't remember most of the time. And to their credit, the person I was responding to in the comments about Daniel Shaver said that they wouldn't accept jokes about him either. And I was like, all right, well, at least you're consistent. This was obviously an edgy joke. This was obviously something that some people will think is too far. And that's fine. The joke was not about them dying. It was not about their skin color. I have not made any allusions to that at any point in time. But it doesn't matter to these people who wish to lie about me because they think they know better than what I say out loud. It's like I've talked about how I grew up, the things that I've seen, the people I was around, how when I was a child, part of me had started to become racist, specifically towards Puerto Ricans. And I talked about how getting older, part of maturing is understanding that those specific people are bad people, but you can't put that on the entire race. That's absurd. That's retarded, right? And it's like, I have plenty of Puerto Rican fans. I have a Puerto Rican clipper that I talk to sometimes. I've talked with management people who are Puerto Rican. It's like to use the maturity and growth that I had living through the shit that I did as some sort of gotcha against me. Like, oh, when Kirsche was 11 years old, she was racist. Like, is also an insane reach. Then you met Sawa and became racist all over again. I love Sawa! You touch my heart. It's like, yeah, I had issues when I was a child because of how I grew up. It was a terrible thing to witness. It was a terrible way to grow up. I could have been so much worse off. I have gone through so much shit, and I'm open about it, and I make jokes about it because it's like, if I can get through the shit that I've lived through, I want other people to feel like they can get through hard things in their life as well. I'm not some, like, stalwart of strength. I'm not, like, incredibly intelligent or anything. But I lived through some rough fucking shit. And hopefully, me being able to mature through that and learn from these things that I had to deal with can inspire other people to be able to get through some shitty parts of their life as well. It's crazy because I tell these stories of my childhood all the time. Like, they're basically a part of my brand at this point. But none of these people who slander me know that because they just take random anonymous sources of like, oh yeah, I heard this thing about Kirsche, therefore that's completely real and true. And it's like, that's why when I called out like Uki Violetta, I think, for being racist towards white people because his jokes did not have punchlines, I was like, I could understand if he's had like shitty experiences with white people that would make him project that onto an entire race. That's how I was when I was a child. But part of growing up is understanding that you can't do that. Not everyone of the same skin color behaves the same. And keeping that mentality into adulthood is incredibly stunting and incredibly dumb. With one image, a police officer points a stun gun at Leith while he lunges forward. In another, Wilson holds a knife while the responding officer points a gun at her. The still is taken seconds before he discharged his weapon. Who wore it better, Kirsche tweeted. Body cam edition. Yes, they have similar facial expressions, and I've already said this both on Twitter and on a previous stream. And wow, to no one's surprise, I was told Kirsche doesn't really believe that. That's, she's lying. Like, fucking, again, why apologize to people who aren't going to believe anything you say anyway? It's an exercise in futility. In both incidents, body cam video depicts law enforcement acting in self-defense. However, the implication of Kirsche's response is that Black Americans are lying about the commonality of police brutality in the United States. That is such a far leap. I don't think an Olympic track star could make that jump, dude. Like, that is an insane thing to apply to what I said. I do not know what man has the wingspan for this reach. The Sentencing Project, I don't even know what the fuck that is, notes black Americans were 2.5 times as likely to be shot and killed by police officers as whites per data from 2015 to 2021. At this rate, police will kill an estimated 1 in 1,000 black men, the organization wrote. Police officers' greater inclination to stop and search people of color suggests that differences in people's behavior alone are unlikely to account for disparities in lethal police violence. If I specifically read it poorly, the statement could be construed as a bit racist. Yeah. If I specifically become a dirty smear merchant, I can make this person look even worse from an edgy joke. Virsches. You're making a not researched hit piece on me? You can't even spell my name right? Is this like my evil twin? Do I have an evil twin out there? What's happening? Virsch's mid-April post reached a breaking point for the VTubing community, which doesn't exist, and anyone saying anything was either not part of the VTubing community or trying to gain clout from latching on to a controversy that was manufactured from the beginning specifically to do damage to me. It had no traction, it had no validity, and it had no real sources, causing many users on Twitter to criticize Supps for partnering with the creator. One VTuber, Kaio, a guy who has made false statements about me multiple times before, a few times even hidden behind an alt account that I had to call him out for lying about me, to which his response was, well, why did you say something on Twitter that was different from what you said on stream? How am I supposed to know? I don't know, maybe before you lie about me, you look into what you're going to say? Maybe? I don't know, dude. And so Kaio was like, look at Kirsche, she believes that these are really earpieces and she's pushing this false narrative. She's so fucking stupid. And it's like, I didn't say they were. I just said to my chat, because that's who I talk to on Twitter, and like, you're free to, I'm pissing in the ocean of piss. You can say whatever the fuck you want, but like, I don't appreciate being lied about, and I'm definitely gonna slap back if I notice you're lying for the most part. One VTuber, Kaio, ended his Supps partnership 2 days after Kirsch's tweets. Like, who the fuck is this? Did he have merch? Did he merely have a code? What is that supposed to mean? Well, Kaio did not name Kirsche directly, of course he didn't. He pointed to his concern with certain creators affiliated with the brand, sharing openly bigoted views without facing any consequences. I encourage fellow creators to think about whether or not their partnership with the company is worth continuing, Kaio wrote. I don't agree that it's a good idea to just let creators create content and try to do our best to just make the best products on the internet, if it means allowing hateful people to be representing your brand. The funniest thing about this is almost all of the quote retweets and the replies were pointing out how much of a hypocrite he was for doing this. Most of the replies were posting his tweet that said, can't be racist towards white people. But of course, someone like you wouldn't know that. So he doesn't want to be associated with Supps, and he canceled his own partnership because I'm against illegal immigration and would like illegal immigrants deported, and repeated things that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom said. But he's not a bigot because you can't be racist towards white people. Okay, all right. Okay. Actual racist calling you racist. Many such cases. An immediate fuck up for Kaio. Yeah, anyone taking these kinds of things seriously is just completely delusional. It remains unclear whether Supps will issue a response to Kirsch's behavior. For the record, the VTuber has previously welcomed controversy promoting the brand risk Supps product while declaring, according to my marketing team, I am a brand risk. A brand risk is one of my favorite flavors from Supps. I think it has a funny name, especially due to whose flavor it is. You know, I don't want to implicate other people because they have nothing to do with this. It's a great flavor. I would suggest buying it using code Kirsche for 10% off. And yeah, I've been saying according to my marketing team because these people have been fervently adding Supps for a month now, trying to deal reputational and financial damage to me. This is a harassment campaign of life ruination from people who just do not like me and need to lie about me to feel powerful. Yeah, and it's like, again, this whole article, they keep mentioning Supps like a million times. They keep asking about Supps commenting They are trying to force Gamer Supps into a corner to drop me based on their slanderous campaign. A Gamer Supps partner and her Nazi fan, like, again, it's very clear slander. It's very clear what they're trying to do. They're not even hiding it. Of course, Kirsche may walk herself into a controversy that's impossible for Gamer Supps to defend. This could be the case after the right-wing VTuber retweeted a Kirsche fan named Sencho Mimikyu. Sencho recently received an official Kirsche Tues plushie, which people had started adding Tues after this happened as well, because what they want to do is life ruination, and posed with it. In one of the images shared by Kirsche, Sencho placed Kirsche's plushie next to an enormous collection of Nazi and fascist books, including a 3-part hardcover book display from white nationalist publisher Antelope Hill Publishing. With how little, like, research you did into this article, how the fuck did you know that? How did you know that? I didn't even know what the books were, much less who they were published by. And also, an enormous collection? Isn't it just those 3? Am I not inspecting the image hard enough again? Sencho's Twitter page is filled with anime women promoting Nazi imagery and works. Or are they a K-On! Fan? In one tweet, an anime girl with a swastika is shown, along with the message, "Did someone say race war?" And this is again kind of crazy that they're trying to go through this random person's timeline and attribute things that they posted to me because I retweeted a picture of a plushie of mine. This is insanity. Guilt by association, unironic guilt by association. The Nazi imagery extends to the book seen in the image retweeted by Kirsche. The hardcover book display features 2 books with the Iron Cross and one with the Nazi eagle, complete with the swastika. The 3 books shown are also popular fascist works: Michael by Joseph Goebbels, in his own words, The Essential Speeches of Adolf Hitler, and The Burning Souls by neo-Nazi Leon de Grill, according to Sencho. They did more research reading this random person's tweets than my own. This is crazy. While Kirsche is a political VTuber, it remains unclear if the content creator was aware of the Nazi imagery seen on the bookshelf. You literally dropped this after I announced I was going on vacation. I didn't want to give literal who's trying to promote a slanderous harassment campaign any wins, which is the only reason why I didn't unretweet it. Because it's like, yeah, I didn't fucking notice. But I don't want these people to be like, oh, she knew, and now she's just unretweeting it to save face. We caught her. We got this bitch. Because you know that's what they would have done. That's exactly what would have happened. Or the various fascist books on display. What other fascist books? I don't expect the bookcase. In fact, several VTubers jumped into a lively Twitter debate about whether Kirsche had the knowledge to recognize fascist imagery at all. One German VTuber claimed she didn't even know that the Iron Cross was a popular Nazi symbol.
Who the hell are you?
You know. You all know exactly who I am. Say my name.
That's because it existed before the Nazi regime existed, which is why when I saw the Iron Cross, I was like, oh, Templar shit. Like, what do you mean by this? Regardless, it's likely Kirsche is now aware of the imagery and meaning of the books shared by the retweeted user after a day's worth of discourse on Twitter. You know, I don't live on Twitter like you people do. It took me a while to even notice that people were angry about something. And when I did, I was like, how the fuck did they even see that? How the fuck did they even... It's like a pixel wide, dude. You're inspecting my merch pictures more than I am.
Sir, I think you're gonna want to see this.
Holy shit, kid. This might be the evidence we needed. Now, can you zoom in?
Yes, sir. I believe I can.
Now, can you enhance?
Yes, sir. I can do that.
Jesus H. Christ. Now zoom and enhance again. There she is. Do you know what she's done?
Of course, sir. Her crimes against humanity are uncountable.
You know what her worst crime is?
What is it, sir?
She hates America.
Back to what we were doing. People are actually crazy. And like, again, I want to say, while I was out enjoying my vacation, touching grass, unplugging from all of this like fucking weird internet discourse, very much appreciate the people who do watch me, who do understand my content, who were defending me from all of this slander. Like, very much thank you. Sometimes it feels, in the past, very isolating, because a lot of the discourse that happens about me outside of like my own Discord and my own stream, because I'm small, it just feels like it's always incorrect. And so to see people actually having my back when people are slandering me made me feel very, very happy. Yeah, Kirsche now, it's likely Kirsche is now aware of the imagery and meaning of the book shared by the retweeted user after a day's worth of discourse, yet Sencho's post remains shared on her Twitter page. I didn't want to give you freaks a win. You guys literally trying to life ruination me. I didn't want to unretweet something to give you guys a victory. Because all you would have done is say, oh, she knew, and now she's unretweeting it to save face. You wouldn't have engaged in good faith. You wouldn't have said, oh, she didn't know. That's fine. We can retract our statements. You wouldn't have done that. Well, it's like, at this point, I'm kind of sick of it. I'm kind of tired of it. I have unretweeted it because I don't want my sponsors to get attacked. I don't want my friends to get attacked because you people have no honor. You have no honor and no morals, and all you do is lie and attack people. And if you can't hurt me, you try to hurt those around me to get me to respond, and it's disgusting behavior. Perhaps it's irrelevant whether Kirsche knew about the political imagery behind Sencho's post. What matters most is how gamer Supps feels on the matter. I wonder why you think that. I wonder why you would say this again in this article. This is not Kirsche's first controversy, and it likely won't be her last. I genuinely don't try to get into controversies. I don't try. I don't like drama. I don't like fighting with people. I just like, it probably won't be my last, but it's not because I try to garner this kind of shit. Which begs the question, is there a line Kirsche and other content creators can cross before a partnership is threatened with the company? Vice has reached out to Gamer Supps, Kirsche, and Kaio for comment. I don't know when they reached out to Gamer Supps or Kaio, or if they even did. But as far as reaching out to me, they didn't. They reached out to my Mythic manager before the workday started, and less than an hour before they dropped the article. So they're technically correct by reaching out to me, but they did it in a disingenuous and slimy way that even if I wanted to respond, I wouldn't have had time to before they dropped the hit piece. And they did it after I announced that I was going on vacation. And every single one of these people, except for obviously my biggest admirer, has decided, oh, the day that I said I was coming back from vacation, all of them are like, oh, I've posted enough about this. I'm going to disengage. I don't like drama. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Fuck you. Fuck you, you disingenuous pieces of shit. This is all you have going for you. And that's sad. They'll try to fucking dog on me for like, oh, Kirsche's seething so hard she spent hours on stream talking about this. Yeah, I did spend hours talking about it because you've spent a month trying to cause financial harm to me. And no matter how much you lie, it's going to be obnoxious to deal with, and I don't want to deal with it, and I want to correct the record for the normal people that have brain cells, that aren't going to believe just random people online. Monetize the haters? Yeah, the Asmongold strategy. Monetize the haters. It's like, I have a community that wants to support me. And if I've done something wrong that would make my community feel bad for being a part of my community, I would want to apologize to them.